Intricate and introverted, it's difficult to know who an INFJ really is at their core, especially if you're not willing to put in the work. This personality type has an amazing ability to play all sorts of roles depending on what's expected of them externally and internally. But does that really give cause to them earning the stereotype of having split personalities? Welcome back, psychos. Before we get into it, we'd love it if you liked and subscribed to our channel, as well as to click the post notification bell so you never miss a video. Alright, let's get right into it, starting with number 1. They hold a perfect mix of logic and emotion. It's fair to say that aside from psychopaths and sociopaths, every human holds somewhat of a mix between logic and emotion, with some personality types resorting to their logical brains more times than not, and some types relying on their emotional side. It's rare that a personality type utilizes both aspects equally. For the INFJ, however, it's said that they have the ability to do just that. In fact, INFJs are not only able to utilize both aspects of their minds equally, but also simultaneously. According to LongIslandPsychology.com, logic is the language of the conscious mind, while emotion is the language of the unconscious mind. And with this innate capacity to use both, the INFJ often holds a mixed perception of most topics. Whether it's problem solving, advocating, mitigating, or analyzing, the INFJ can take both conscious and unconscious thought processes when sorting through the details and connecting the dots. While this ability doesn't exactly cause others to perceive them as having mixed personalities, it can definitely make them seem like they don't know where to stand on certain topics, as they usually hold strong beliefs in both arguments. Number 2. They're always questioning who they really are. Purpose-driven, the INFJ personality type is always on the hunt for the next best path to take, whether it's pertaining to their never-ending process of self-improvement or it's in an attempt to get closer to discovering their God-given mission here on Earth. INFJs are always in question of who they are and what they're meant to be doing. While this motivating outlook on things can certainly lead this ambitious type to experience some amazing skills and rewarding opportunities, it can also have them questioning their identity. In fact, while the bulk of an INFJ's habits, quirks, and traits remain intact, this personality type can experiment with different life roles, career paths, fashion choices, and even living environments in their desperate search to find something most fitting. It's not rare for the INFJ to take the steps they feel are necessary to lead them closer to feeling whole and understood, even if this means changing their entire external persona every few years. While it may be confusing to the people around them, anyone who knows an INFJ's heart knows that nothing really changes on the inside. Number 3. They're rarely their true selves. They say you can know an INFJ for years, convinced that you understand their ins and outs, and yet not have even remotely experienced their most authentic selves. Besides having trouble finding labels that actually resonate with them completely, it becomes all the more difficult when trying to be themselves with other people. With a vast and active inner world, INFJs don't interact with their external lives as deeply as they do internally with themselves. In fact, for this introverted intuitive type, their true self is difficult to present on the outside due to their truest selves being found behind the facets of their own mind. Inside their imagination and thought processes is where the INFJ is free to be, think, and imagine without boundaries. While some types are able to easily communicate their ideas and express themselves on the outside, the INFJ wouldn't know where to start. And in the rare instance that they do actually convey this inner core, they usually do so without thinking too much about it. And in most cases, this side of them is only unlocked when in the presence of someone they've grown to trust tremendously. Number 4. They can't help but to adjust their frequency to their surroundings. Besides the INFJ's introverted intuition that drives them to play certain characters on autopilot when it comes to interacting with their outer world, they also use the help of their extroverted sensing function to find the most appropriate persona. The invisible energies, frequencies, and moods of an INFJ's surroundings actually play a huge part in how they end up presenting themselves. For example, should an INFJ take a simple walk in nature, they'll probably find themselves feeling rejuvenated, energized, and mentally at peace, thanks to their extroverted sensing functions becoming grounded. However, if the INFJ finds themselves in a busy, crowded bar, it may be assuming that they would take on the feelings of those around them due to their extroverted feeling function. But instead, their extroverted sensing function becomes easily overwhelmed. This type of situation leaves the INFJ to resort to energy-saving mode, causing them to retract, impairing the notorious shape-shifting chameleon social skills they probably intend on using to survive such a social environment. Which brings us to number 5. They have profound chameleon-like social skills. If you're an INFJ yourself, you'll know exactly where we're going with this one. The infamous chameleon social skills that this extroverted feeling type uses oh so well. With their keen ability to pick up on the slightest changes to someone's mood, body language, and tone of voice, the INFJ is able to match a person's energy better than they are able to express their own. In fact, this shape-shifting socializing mechanism is often exactly what gives others the assumption of the INFJ having multiple personalities in the first place. Much like how external stimuli takes a toll on the INFJ's extroverted sensing function, the people an INFJ surrounds themselves with can cause the external demeanor to take a major turn. Whether it's a turn for the better or a turn for the worse. INFJs often come across as different people depending on who they're hanging out with. Although this is done outside of their immediate awareness, this empath personality type can easily feel the benefits or ramifications one has on how they feel. Unfortunately for the INFJ, because of this intense ability to take on the feelings of other people, they often have a difficult time really knowing where they're at emotionally unless they take a serious break in solitude. Number 6. They do have a hidden dark side. Speaking of easing off their social game, INFJs can experience serious repercussions should they overwork their external functions. With extroverted intuition and thinking at hand, INFJs desperately require time to themselves in order to recharge their mental batteries and cleanse themselves of external absorbed feelings. In the unfortunate cases where they're not given the chance to withdraw into the privacy of their own minds, another side of the INFJ emerges. No matter how much this calm and collected type tries to mask their inner downward spiral, eventually, they reach a point of becoming completely out of touch with their reality. On the inside, this personality switch feels like a mix of sadness, doom, and frustration, while from the outside, this personality shift can make the INFJ seem uneasy, on edge, and even delusional at times. No matter how they present their inner challenges on the outside, it's fair to say that their behaviors become completely uncharacteristic. Luckily, it takes a lot for this otherwise peaceful type to reach this point. But if it ever is witnessed, you can bet it gets a little terrifying for everyone involved. And lastly, number 7. They're not entirely in touch with how they're perceived externally. Whether they like to admit it or not, the INFJ is always questioning how other people perceive them from an external point of view. However, unlike most people, the ego has very little to do with their curiosity. As a matter of fact, despite their extroverted feeling function and their strong intuition, the analytical INFJ is actually quite clueless when it comes to how their outer world assesses them. Of course, they realize that everyone's perceptions are different, especially considering their shape-shifting personality. INFJs don't realize just how different they can be when interacting from person to person. With contradicting traits, depending on the situation, INFJs can either come off as brutally honest or people-pleasing, extremely friendly or overly reserved, introspective and philosophical or a small-talk professional. In the moment, it's not easy for the INFJ to consciously cater to how they want to be perceived because they wouldn't know where to start. And so, if their subconscious extroverted feeling chameleon isn't activating, the personality you get isn't going to be based on how they want to be seen. Well, psychos, that's it for today. So, do you think the INFJ can be perceived as having split personalities? Let us know in the comments below. Also, make sure to leave us a like, share with your friends, and subscribe to our channel so that you never miss a video.